Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So today morning, before I start this session, I want all the aspirants who are watching this particular video to start doing an exercise and do this exercise for the next 60 days. And you will be surprised at the kind of progress you will make after you have done it for 60 days continuously. In fact, I also did this particular exercise knowingly or unknowingly, but I recently came across this exercise in Pavneet sir's book and I thought it was really, really good. So what do I want you to do? I want you to start on the first day and continue to do every day this particular exercise where you write down, you note down on a piece of paper, in a diary, on a sheet of A4 paper. You take it, sit down with a pen or pencil. Then after that, you take out the newspaper of that day, whether it is the Indian Express or the Hindu. You go to the editorial page, you read the editorials there. There are 2 or 3 editorials normally. You would read these editorials, and then after reading the editorial properly, you can underline, you can understand the editorial, and after that you close the newspaper. You go to the piece of paper that you have taken, or the piece of diary or notebook or A4 sheet, whatever, and then you start writing whatever you have understood from that article. You can note down the article's headline, whatever is the topic of the article, and after that you should go ahead and write in your own words, in whatever number of sentences, whether 2 sentences, 10 sentences, 2 paragraphs, whatever you have understood from that particular newspaper. Now this should be the central theme of that particular editorial. What was the central theme? What was the main topic being talked about in that particular editorial? Number 1. Number 2, you want to write down the major keywords. You want to remember the major keywords and the concepts that were coming in that particular article. And in your own words, you want to write down what you learned from that article, what was the key takeaways, or what are the key things, information that you came across. You don't have to worry about writing your opinion, but just write down whatever is coming to your mind. Now for aspirants who will be doing this for the first time in their life, who will be writing anything in the first time in their life, you will find this exercise to be very, very difficult. In fact, you might not be able to write more than 4 lines, 5 lines. But after a few days, you will start seeing the changes. And on the 60th day, I promise you, if you do this diligently and come back and write down in the comments on this channel, how much you improved. It will improve your answer writing skills. It will improve your critical thinking skills. It will improve your overall reading skills. It will improve how you comprehend a particular topic or a particular piece of writing that you have in front of you. And in addition, it will also improve your retention skills, your presence of mind when you're doing something. See, a lot of times what happens is when we are studying, we don't make a conscious effort. Now this exercise makes you do that conscious effort, that extra step. Normal times, a lot of aspirants complain, sir, मैंने history पूरी कर ली, I have read the entire book of history, polity, but I'm not able to remember anything. I'm not able to really have anything concrete after I have read the book. And the reason that happens is because of 2 things. Number 1, you do not know how to read the book properly, for which I have made another video. It has more than a million views already. So I think you can go ahead and look at that. I will post the link. But that video will teach you how to read well, how to pick up any book in this world and be able to read it properly like a pro. Of course, it takes practice. Don't expect that after my video you will take up a book and you will know how to read. It will take practice. You will have to still read around 4 or 5 books in order to get to a point where you are easily able to read the book and you are able to get a lot of information, get a lot of learnings, and your critical thinking skills are activated. Now same thing with this exercise. It will take you 60 days to get there. It is not going to happen in the first 20 days, 30 days. It will take you at least 60 days to start your work and then eventually get there on the 60th day. Alright? So what I want you to do is, I want you to do this exercise for the sake of learning how to learn. For the sake of learning how to get into this stance of from a normal UPSC aspirant who's struggling to someone who is actually seeing progress every day and who is able to foresee himself or herself in the list because they know that they are making good progress and they are getting results on the paper. Now same thing goes for answer writing. Answer writing definitely do not start on the first day itself. For answer writing, you have to consciously first understand, learn the various static portions. For example, if you're doing the answer writing of history for GS1, you will have to learn history. How can you write anything which you don't know anything about? But after that, once you start doing answer writing, it is a very conscious daily effort, or at least 3 to 4 times in a week you will have to write a lot of answer in order to get the structure, that particular framework correct. And that framework is very important. A lot of UPSC aspirants go into the exam without any framework whatsoever. They have read things, they have understood things from the books, but there is no framework on how I will actually write the answers. And in the next many days I'm going to talk about it. Throughout the new year, in November, December, January, February, I'm going to talk about how you can create these frameworks which are going to help you with answer writing. Alright, so this is one thing that I wanted to talk about to you today, that deliberate effort of this 60 days will pay you off a lot. And you will learn how to learn, you will learn how to read a newspaper and actually take away the best points from that newspaper. Now the second point I wanted to talk about is, a lot of aspirants, when they're struggling with newspaper reading, they tell that, sir, we are not able to get the right takeaways from the newspapers. We don't know. We read the newspaper, we read the static portion, but we are not able to solve the actual questions. We are not able to solve the actual questions that are coming in the previous years. Well, for this, I will tell you one thing very simple and one thing very effective, that try to see your UPSC exam not from a point of view that if you have finished your book, let's say some history book or Lakshmikant book, some particular sources or newspapers or compilations, newspaper current affairs compilations, do not see that as a source of your exam questions. That is not the source of exam questions. UPSC will never ask you direct question from that particular article or from that book. It will always use current affairs as backward linkages, as sources where it finds questions from, and then indirectly it asks questions from there. So for example, if there is an article about, let's say, the recent Israel conflict, the Israel-Hamas conflict, then a lot of articles are going to come about that particular event, IR event. UPSC is not directly going to ask you about Hamas or Israel as such. UPSC might just pick up on certain other things, geopolitical things, economic things related to or triggered by that particular event, which will come in prelims exam and which will come in the mains exam. For example, question on human rights. There are bodies, devoted UN bodies for human rights, there are devoted Indian bodies for human rights. Obviously, the question of human rights is a big question that has come to fore in this particular Israel-Hamas conflict, in this war that is going on. So UPSC will go to that particular human rights question and will ask you something. Okay, so you should be aware about the basics, which are the bodies, what are the main players, what are the main questions in front of those players meaning the bodies, UNHRC, Indian Human Rights Commission, etc., right? So same things now you have to do with other topics. In this topic, you can also go to other things. What, for example, the various conventions that govern international conflicts. The UPSC can definitely go into that kind of question as well. Now see, the human rights question is obviously a little bit of an indirect pathway into that particular conflict. Everyone will read Israel history, everyone will read the history of Palestine, but a lot of people will forget to devote time to these kind of things. Very important. Similarly, the geography of that area. It is very important. The countries surrounding Israel, the geopolitical history of that area, and then related areas. This entire Middle East comes in question. Look at the lakes in that surrounding areas. Look at the seas, oceans close by. Look at various straits. Look at anything that is of interest. Look at the rivers. Look at the mountain ranges. Because those are very highly likely to be asked in the question paper that is going to come. And you will be surprised how it is framed. It will be framed in a little indirect way. And that is why year after year, coaching institutes are not able to predict how UPSC is going to ask it questions. The real thing, the reason for that is because it makes it very random by asking these indirect questions. And UPSC coaching institutes are mostly focusing on direct things only. So this kind of thinking process you have to evolve, you have to develop in order to do well in this exam, in order to qualify for this exam. Now, apart from this, how to basically develop this kind of backward linkages. See, whenever you are reading any kind of newspaper article, I'm not talking about compilations. Compilations are very, very kind of narrow that way. And I've always told you, use compilations as notes to revise things, but not as your primary reading. Your primary reading source is in the newspaper, from which whenever you read an article, you're keeping an open mind. Oh, there could be something related to economy in this particular newspaper article. There could be related to something IR. There could be something related to polity. Look at every newspaper article from a broader point of view instead of from a constricted point of view. Because what happens, normally you would categorize an article, ये तो IR का article है. This is an economics article. This is this article. But there might be questions, other questions related to other things that are mentioned in that article, which UPSC will go ahead and take the questions from. For example, in Hindu, there is an art and culture section that comes. And in the art and culture section, there might be questions that are, there might be not questions, but they are talking about various things that are in news recently. For example, let's say if some prominent musical artist or some prominent artist in other field has got a national award, or someone has passed away recently, then an article will come on that person. Normally, obviously, UPSC will not pick that news, but what they will pick is from which particular gharana maybe that musical artist was from, what kind of instruments that particular musical artist used, and the question about that instrument, not about that artist. So that is how UPSC checks your curiosity. It checks what kind of an aspirant you are. And I have been inspired to do this video after reading Pavanit's book. So that was very, very important, because he talks about these things. And I feel hardly anyone talks about these things in the market about UPSC. So I hope you get an idea after today's video that what are the kind of things that you want to explore, read and focus on when you're doing UPSC preparation. Because UPSC preparation is not always about just directly chasing an article or a question or a topic, but also indirectly coming to it from different point of angles. And these backward linkages, this reading exercise is very important part of this entire process for you to be able to form that kind of a thinking, form that kind of a way of looking at things. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Today I wanted to keep it short and a good conversation so that you can get an idea. And I hope you go back, study hard, focus, make this Saturday a good, productive Saturday. And if you have any questions, let me know. I try to answer a lot of them on this particular channel in the comments. Thanks. Bye-bye. Take care.